Welcome to Cora's Cottage, where things are homegrown and handmade. I started my journey in town on a small city lot where I grew a garden and preserved most of what I grew. While I was in town, I continued to learn kitchen and other homemaking skills. However, recently, my husband and I have had the opportunity to move out into the country. This means we have more space, and I will be expanding my garden and preservation skills this summer. I want to continue to expand my homesteading and homemaking skills as well. Follow along with me on this journey as I share what I learn. Recently, our chicken needed restocked in the freezer, so before I did this, I went and I did some math to see if it would be more cost effective for our family to buy whole chickens and I part them out myself, or to buy the individual parts. For us, it worked out that it would be cheaper because the dollars are the only thing I'm looking at. I have the free time to go ahead and part them out, so I don't need to look at the cost benefit of where my time is spent. So that being said, we did go with the whole chickens and I parted them out myself. But for some examples, if you look at Walmart, a whole chicken was between $1.42 and $3.92 a pound, but then thighs were $1.58 to $3.62 a pound, legs were $1.05 to $2.84 a pound, breasts were $2.67 to $5.82 a pound, wings were $3.25 to $5.48 a pound, and broth was between 5 cents and 41 cents an ounce. And I got all of these things when I bought whole chickens just because of the way that I part them out. I only parted out breasts and legs and thighs here, though I could have taken wings. Our family just doesn't eat a lot of them. But then I got a bunch of shredded chicken off of what was left on the carcasses when I put them in water and let them cook overnight. This was super great because not only did it give me the shredded meat for meals, but it also gave me broth to cook with. Another example is to look at Costco, which the whole chicken is $1.69 to $2.99 a pound. Thighs were $1.69 to $7.99 a pound. Legs $1.69 to $2.79 a pound. Breasts $3.79 to $5.49 a pound. Wings $3.99 to $5.12 a pound. And broth was between 5 cents and 41 cents an ounce. Now, something else that is beneficial to this for us is our family is looking at getting meat birds in the future, and this gives me a low-stress environment to start to learn how to part them out without having to do a full butcher of a bird. So I have a pretty good idea of how to part them out, what parts I want to actually part out, what I'll turn into shredded chicken, and I know how to make my own broth already. So I feel like we're in a good position to go ahead and do our own chickens in the future. Now here you can see I am just peeling back the skin. This works pretty well to just do with your hands. You really don't need the knife for most of it because it just slides right off, as you can see here. Now this again, these are store-bought chickens, so that's going to be different, I'm sure, with a bird that we harvest ourselves, but it's super nice about store-bought ones because I don't have to break my knife out too much. Then here I am just working it around both of the legs, as you can see. Once I get the skin off completely, then I am going to go ahead and take the legs and thighs off. I leave them together for our family. That's just easier and we don't really mind it. Now, to do this, the easiest way is to just go ahead and pop the joint where the thigh connects to the back, as you can see I'm doing there, and then I just go ahead and cut the meat until it detaches. I do this on both sides, and it gets easier the more that you do it to be able to find that joint, and they just come right off. Then I go ahead and I flip my chicken over and I'm going to take the breasts out. Now I do go ahead and trim some excess fat and things off as I go, but I don't always trim them perfectly, so a lot of times I'll still need to do some trimming when I get them out of the freezer. This part I was familiar with from growing up hunting ducks and geese. It was very similar to removing breasts from a duck or a goose. You just go ahead and glide your knife along the breastbone and then down the rib cage. This is something that you have to be a little careful with because chicken bones are very delicate, so it's super easy to slice through the rib cage, but once you get the hang of it, it's really pretty easy and you can get a breast off in a very minimal amount of time. Then you go ahead and just trim the breast off down there around the wings until you get it off, and rinse and repeat with the other side. Now, I didn't purchase any of this chicken from Walmart or Costco. I got it from a small local grocery store because it's just a short drive away rather than the closest Walmart, which is an hour, and I honestly don't know how close the nearest Costco is. That's how far away it is. The other reason is that the local grocer will work with me on when the chicken comes in and can order me in a whole case, so I'm not hoping they have enough chicken. In the future, I will probably get my chicken from Mature Standard, but that thought didn't even cross my mind till after I had ordered chicken this time. The reason I would do that is because I can still get it in bulk and it's a little higher quality than what my local grocer can order in. And I'm not having to worry about high shipping costs to get an organic chicken to my door. Now, I do have to pay some shipping with Azure, but it is very reasonable and I already get a lot of groceries from Azure. Up next, it is time to go ahead and get the parted out chicken parts into the freezer. So I start by counting out how many I would have. So in this case, I had 12 chickens, so I'm gonna have 24 leg thigh combos and 24 breasts. So I divided out the breasts and put 4 in each bag, and the leg thigh combos and put 6 in each bag. Now, I went ahead and labeled the number of bags that I would need for each and labeled them appropriately with breast or the thigh leg combo, and then put the date. I just put the month and the year because I just need to know which chicken is the oldest in our freezer, and that does a good enough job for us. Now, I am using Ziploc freezer bags rather than a vacuum sealer because we don't have one. I would love a vacuum sealer, but it just hasn't been something that we have purchased yet. It's certainly something that we'd like to get and is on our wish list. So then once all of these are packaged up and ready for the freezer, I will go ahead and make sure that I press as much air as possible out before sealing them. The other thing that is nice about packaging them yourself is you can decide exactly how many you need in each package. So like I said, for our family, that's 4 breasts and 6 leg thigh combos in each package. And that can change as our family grows and we get more people that are eating larger meals. The other thing that's nice about this is that because the packages are still fairly small, I can just grab a second one if we are having company over and we're entertaining, or if I just want some extra leftovers. Once all of the bags are sealed with all of the air that I can get out, pressed out, it's time to go ahead and get them into the freezer. So one thing that we do that's super nice for organizing our freezers is we have these milk crates. So I just stack all of the chicken up in one of the milk crates and it's easy to grab. Then it's time to go ahead and get the carcasses cooking so that I can have some shredded chicken. So I just add some water to my roaster until the chicken carcasses are covered. Once that's done, I go ahead and I set it to low and let it cook overnight. That will get that meat nice and cooked, and I can go ahead and pluck it off so that I can have the shredded chicken to can. The next day then, it's time to go ahead and pluck out all of the meat and put it in a bowl so that it can be canned or turned into a meal, and then I put everything else back into the roaster with the broth to make bone broth. Now, this shredded chicken, I went ahead and just made it into chicken bacon ranch bakes right away, but it can be canned to be used for various different things and very quick, easy grab and go meals. As far as the broth goes, I'll go ahead and add some veggie scraps and turn it on low overnight, and then I'll go ahead and can that broth. Then the next morning, after the bone broth has simmered all night with the veggies, I will go ahead and drain out the veggie scraps and the chicken bones, and I will take the broth and put it into quart jars. I was able to get 8 full quart jars and then a partial quart jar, so I only canned the 8 full jars and I just put the other jar in the fridge. Once I have all of the jars filled, then I just wipe down along the rims with a damp cloth to make sure that there isn't any debris on the rims that will keep them from sealing. Once I have all of the rims wiped down, I go ahead and I put a lid on top of each jar, and once those are on, then I screw them down with a ring just to fingertip tight. You don't want to make these super tight, otherwise it can affect your seal rate. Then the jars are ready to go into the pressure canner, so I get all 8 of them tucked into the pressure canner, and then I will put the lid on and make sure that it is locked nice and tight, and you will see me remove the weight. You want to take the weight off until you have some steam going for about 10 minutes, and then you want to put the weight on. This can just speed up the amount of time it takes your pressure canner to build pressure. When they have finished canning after 25 minutes, when it's come to pressure, you can go ahead and let it depressurize, and then you can remove your jars from the canner, as you can see that I'm doing here. I'll set them on the counter to cool for about 24 hours before I'll check the lids and make sure that they sealed. And then I will take any that haven't sealed and I'll put them in the fridge, and I'll label the rest and take them down to our pantry for long-term storage. These will be easy to grab when I am needing to cook something fast. I'll use these in things like skillets or to cook rice.